Hi, this is Andrew Tang. The other members of my group are Courtney Pope, Tong Hao, and Jeff White. This is Fast Forward and the use of V-Ray RT. The beginning images that we started with and the moves that we were trying to evoke. Dark, weird, and futuristic. I'm going to go a little bit quickly here. These videos are sped up, but I'm just going to explain briefly what we did in each of these videos and what we were trying to achieve using V-Ray RT. You can see that in this scene, which doesn't have a lot of geometry in it, it's V-Ray RT is quite quick at giving us a good look at what is happening in real time, and this includes all of the texture mapping and material mapping for all of the materials in the scene, which, you know, would be easy enough in this case to do some of this work in Photoshop, but we felt we wanted to give RT a decent test, so even though this is a simple interior, you know, maybe some of those bump maps would increase the render time. And a few of the other images we're going to show, we're also going to work with files that have a lot heavier geometry and test it in that way. So you can see this is what we got out of the rendering engine, and here we're just beginning to change some of the settings in Photoshop, push the overall image using post-production techniques. In this case, we were pretty heavy in terms of what we're applying to it, but RT was definitely useful in manipulating the material and lighting real time, although we couldn't exactly get every effect. RT is still limited in the sense it doesn't display volume light, for instance, and overall we used it as sort of a troubleshooting platform to quickly assess whether lights were working or not, or whether material changes were working for us. Overall in this image we're going for weird, so we'll add sort of the blur effects on the corner, and we also heighten the contrast between the foreground and background. You can see the final image there, what we were able to achieve in terms of a weird scene. This next one, as I mentioned, has a lot more geometry, so we really pushed RT to see what we could get out of it. This is a very heavy file. After setting up the cameras and setting up the basic V-Ray lights, we're able to take some passes. You can see it's much slower, and this is using 5 or 6 times as many computers as the interior shot you saw a moment ago. So the nice thing about this is that we can quickly adjust the materials and see what we get in terms of a change. Here we made our own custom material that includes all of the mapping of the windows, including the prints that are, or the patterns that are on the windows, and even which windows we want to articulate in terms of being completely transparent. You'll see the outcome of this in a moment. But the point is that we did it all within the rendering engine, as opposed to doing post-production techniques. We thought, you know, this would give the real time a good test. And in this case, we took 2 passes, one all glass and one with the material applied to the exterior of the buildings, and superimposed those in Photoshop in order to achieve the effect we were looking for. See, you can see the new material updated. Just quickly going to show you what material maps we used. This one of Times Square is the diffuse channel. This is the opacity checkered map there that we used to block out certain portions of the material map. This one took a long time, so we're just going to show you quickly a screenshot in a couple minutes in the future here. So there it is. You can see the material maps on there with the windows articulated as I mentioned. And we will show you the final image here with some post-production techniques similar to the interior shot. We're able to get this stylized image of a dark and weird futuristic sort of image. And for the last ones, We set up a second camera to take more of a close-up street level view, where we added a little bit more detail here with these street lamps, and brightened the scene to be a dawn. We're able to really quickly change both the materials and our lighting to enable the sun in this case, and to just make some brief changes like that would overall affect the mood of this scene, which is a little bit cheerier than the last one. Let's see here, it's updating in real time. Also, you can see in the middle of the RT window there, the trees are rendered out purple, and that's just because RT isn't able to display all of the real colors. I'm not sure exactly why in this case that the OBJs that I imported there don't really show up, but you can rest assured after it's all rendered out, they do look in fact like trees. One of the discussions that was brought up in the final exam was about how much can something like RT incur into what normally you would spend on post-processing time. And I think that most agree that there will always be some degree of post-processing, if not anything else, for stylization and to add artistic filters that probably wouldn't be built into your renders for the sake that if you need to make changes, you wouldn't have to re-render the whole thing again. Here's the final image that we were able to achieve.